Lady Gaga became a meme, the like honorary Latina.
Wait, I think it's so funny. What was that thing that I said earlier? They called her like Lady, I forget what it was now. Our Lady of Guadalupe Gagita or something. It was so funny.
Exactly.
I did love that. You know how Lady Gaga's always like, she's an Italian girl from New York?
Yes.
If you change around the letters of Italian, it's like, I Latina.
And that's exactly what Ariana Grande keeps telling people. Yeah.
Damn.
She's singing about cocaine. Justin.
And I don't know what to say. Mi gente Latino. Geoff.
And
welcome to BANTS.
Geoff, you're Latino now? You and everybody else?
Well, that's exactly right. We've all been changed for good.
Okay, well, we'll get into that later. But Geoff, how are you doing otherwise?
Well, I'm pretty dandy. I have to tell you, I've had a headache all day long. Not hangover. Didn't do any drinking during the superb bowel.
Mm-hmm.
Superb bowel.
So what is it then?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, well, you know what? I think I switched my Invisalign tray this morning, and it's a tight fit, let's say, because I was maybe closer to like 20 hours a day versus the 22 that they recommend. So it's a little tight. So, you know, I mean, my teeth be yanking.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
That'll do it every time. Justin, how are you?
Invisalign, though. I'm good. You know, the weather is finally, the cold snap is ending tomorrow.
The weather is giving weather.
It is, and it's going to continue giving weather, but it will be a little bit warmer tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
personally.
Let's celebrate that. Eternal sunshine in our minds, Justin. That's what we have to always go back to on these dark, doldrum days of winter.
6:30 p.m. and it's pitch dark outside still.
And that's tough for now.
That is tough. That is
tough for now.
What's it called? Suspend disbelief on that one.
You know what I always think about every year? Every year, Justin, I'm like, I'm going to celebrate the longest day of the year. You know, June 21st, the summer solstice.
Nobody's ever thought of that before.
Well, because they did it on Hey Arnold. And I remember watching that when I was like 10 or 11. I was like, I want to do that. We got to have like not a mischief night, but a mischief day. Like some kind of a long darty, if you will.
You're TPing people's houses on that day.
I think so. That could be fun.
Okay.
Let's make it a new thing. You know what? TPing things is really hilarious. Like, it just is funny.
I do think people need to chill.
Swaying in the breeze.
You know, everybody's like, this is a lot. This took me so long to clean up. The children are out of control in this neighborhood. People got to calm down.
Everyone's got to chill. Chill, daddy, chill. Do you know that?
I do know that. I know that.
Yeah, so good.
I'm familiar with the clip. But yeah, people in general, I think, just need to relax. People got to relax, you know?
About everything.
About everything. People are weird.
I have to agree.
People are getting weird about stuff. What's up with that?
People were getting weird about the Super Bowl.
Why don't we get into that owl, that superb owl, Geoff?
When left untreated, super bowels can cause anal leakage, fistulas, and fissures. But let's instead talk about the halftime show, I think, for the Super Bowl.
You want to talk about the Super Bowl
game? Well, because the game itself was a snooze fest. Boring.
Okay, we're fully into hot topics now, so play this.
That's right.
Editor,
this
Justin.
Is hot topics. So meaty.
Super Bowl. The game.
Super Bowl 60.
I heard that you were rooting for the Seahawks.
Well, Justin, I was, because here's why. Robert Kraft is a fraudulent flop and a pedo, so we're not supporting the Patriots right now. Not in this house.
Well, personally, I love Robert Kraft.
Wow.
Nobody likes Robert Kraft.
Wow.
Geoff.
Everybody.
We're New Englanders.
I want everybody to hear this. We're going to mark the time. How far into this recording are we? About 2 minutes and 42 seconds?
That's
Justin
fully
loves
wrong.
Robert
It's 5
Kraft.
minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, phone,
and you didn't put your phone on silent. Who in 2026 has their phone not on vibrate?
Well, it's because
and now you're canceled. Now you're canceled.
You made me link my iCloud to the computer. It's a whole thing.
I linked what now? Can you describe that to me? How it works, just technologically?
Justin, we don't have time to get into details because we've got so much to talk about.
Okay, yeah. Obviously, nobody likes Robert Kraft, but it's part of the New England culture. You know what I mean? The Pats.
To hate Robert Kraft?
This is all of sports, Geoff. You hate the owner of your team, and you still root for the team. That's sports. That's sports culture.
Oh, I didn't know. You're teaching me. We're learning. Listeners, we're learning.
I mean, like, you use Spotify to listen to music.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of the CEO of Spotify? Do you like Spotify as a business?
I don't know who he is, but I'm guessing he's probably not a child molester.
Well, he does fund research into drones bombing Palestine, so you could maybe look into that. He's also not the best. I'm saying that there's no ethical consumption or capitalism.
All right, that's not great. You know what, Justin? You have a point. Points are made.
And if I learn anything from the halftime show, Geoff,
points matter.
Is that we need to find joy. We got to find joy.
That's exactly right.
So, what did you think of the halftime show?
The halftime show, I think I've watched it 3 times now.
Headlined by Bad Bunny, of course, we should say. We should say for the record.
Headlined by Bad Bunny. What are his fans called? Are they bunnies? Are they naughty bunnies? Naughty buns? Is that a thing?
I'm going to let you keep spitballing because you're on fire right now. Naughty buns?
Yeah, naughty buns. Why not? That's fun. You know, Charli has her angels. Gaga's little monsters. We could be little bunnies. Oh, so cute.
Okay, sure.
So fluffy.
What's up, y'all? Editor Justin here. I did a quick Google and found that Bad Bunny's fan base is indeed called Los Conejos, or the Bunnies. Point for Geoff. Back to the pod.
Anyway, Vladimir Bunny. Bad Bunny was so much fun. He put on a great show. I loved all the different cultural shout-outs that he did to highlight, you know, Latin American culture, his Puerto Rican heritage. I read a very, very informative slide deck, which I shared with you guys about all the different imagery that was used and the metaphors in his performance. I thought it was very enlightening, very intentional, well thought out.
A slide deck on the very real social media platform Threads that we all use in our day-to-day lives.
Well, Justin, you know, there aren't too many left that are not actively terrible, you know?
I'm with you. You know, I did look
Twitter's
at the slideshow. I looked at the slides and it was informative.
Were you not informed? Were you not entertained?
I was informed. And most importantly, you know, I think there was a lot of Easter eggs for people to uncover that were watching the halftime show, but it was just a party, you know? That's what I liked about it. It was very clearly just like a very lived in and personal depiction of a party, like that, what that means to Bad Bunny, you know what I mean, what that means to Benito.
People sleeping on the chairs.
Oh my god, the wedding,
Puerto Rican snow cones.
It was literally just people
vibing,
finding joy in a Puerto Rican culture. And it's like, what else can we ask for? And it's radical in the way that, like, it reminds me of like 1984.
In what
you ever read that book, Orwell?
Yeah.
Well, 1984 takes place in a dystopia. Any parallels to today's day and age, would you say?
What do you mean? No. Everything's good. Justin, we live in America. And by the way, I don't know if you heard, we're great again.
This is the first time hearing of that.
Okay, you're learning something. You taught me about football. I'm teaching you about the political climate of our country.
This is the first I'm hearing of this. In 1984, the book.
Yes.
One of the themes is that just like finding joy and doing things that bring you pleasure is in and of itself like a form of resistance in a totalitarian state.
You know, I always have said this about masturbation, and nobody wants to talk about it, but I think we should all mention it.
In 1984, it's literally sex. Like, sex is revolution in 1984 because it's heavily regulated, as, you know, any parallels to real life. I feel like, case in point, Bad Bunny's halftime show. It was really like joy as resistance, and it dovetailed so beautifully with his speech at the Grammys, where he talked about love is always going to triumph over hate. It's the only thing more powerful than hate. And I think anybody who found it boring or didn't like it, I'm like, look inside yourself and really ask yourself why you feel that way. Because how could you watch that and not be entertained and just like having fun?
Yeah, I thought it was like the most fun halftime show that I can remember as of late. And it did just feel like a party, which is what I said to our little group who was watching the other day or last night.
Yeah.
I was like, this just feels like a fun party. And it surely did. I love that pink house. The pink house from his tour.
The production design?
Oh, crazy. What about this? I loved this, but I thought that it was going to be a little different.
Okay.
You notice all the sugar cane. I thought, and there was people wearing it.
I did see the behind the scene videos. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Halloween costume.
You already know. I have that one, and then I have something else that we'll talk about shortly. Those are both in the runner for my Halloween costume this year. But I think it was a brilliant idea to have people as the grass because they didn't have to move around big, practical, clunky pieces of set. But I did want them to dance and sway with the music. I thought that was a missed opportunity. That was my only critique of the whole show.
Very valid.
I think it would have been fun to have the sugar cane like dancing. Doom, 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 you know? It'd be fun.
I can imagine it. Sure. Yeah. They must have like been moving around as like the characters in the show were moving around. You know what I mean? Like the geography of the grass may have changed in a way like that we didn't see on screen, you know, like to suit whatever the cinematography was at the time.
Yeah. I was hoping for a left shark situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe one of them just like a little late to the moves. I think it'd be cool.
We haven't quite had a left shark since Katy Perry's halftime show. I think that there were a couple of good memes. There was Bad Bunny swan or stage diving off of the house. That has become a meme.
Oh, it was like a trust fall. It reminded me of Mean Girls.
Exactly. There was also Lady Gaga became a meme, the like honorary Latina.
Wait, I think it's so funny. What was that thing that I sent earlier? They called her like Lady, I forget what it was now. Our Lady of Guadalupe Gagita or something. It was so funny.
Exactly.
I did love that. You know how Lady Gaga's always like, she's an Italian girl from New York?
Yes.
If you change around the letters of Italian, it's like, I Latina.
And that's exactly what Ariana Grande keeps telling people. Yeah.
Damn. Ariana's many faces and skin tones is something really fascinating. I think it could be like a really fascinating like PhD dissertation. The presentation of race through the lens of a pop star. A retrospective of Ariana Grande.
There were a lot of like actual like Latino and Latina pop stars and celebrities that were featured.
Ricky Martin.
Ricky Martin had a great singing cameo.
Climbing that pole. He could climb my pole any day, I'll tell you that. He looked good.
Puerto Rican, of course.
He's a Puerto Rican. I feel Puerto Rican. You know that one?
I do as well. Yes.
Okay. It's a good one. Justin, you're on the up and up of culture.
Jessica Alba, Karol G, Cardi B, Pedro Pascal were all present at the house party. Yeah.
And Alex Earl?
Well, yeah. What's going on there? Is she Latina? I don't think so.
I don't know, but I don't think so.
Okay. A couple of other little fun things or like nice Easter eggs about the halftime show. I thought that the power line segment was really cool because of the power grid issues in Puerto Rico. Like a great reference there.
Going on with like, I think like 6 months they had tenuous at best power after the hurricane with no assistance from the US.
And again, it's literally just like depicting this and then in the midst of it, showing joy that's happening, like in the form of music, you know, is really...
Exactly.
It was really beautiful.
That's a true immigrant story.
Well, famously, Geoff, Bad Bunny is not an immigrant. So canceled again. Canceled once again.
Delete it. Run it back. Run back the tape. Oh, boy.
Okay. Also, great. Bad Bunny handing the Grammy to a young boy who was watching his speech on television.
It was his friend Tiny's son, who's a producer.
Very cute. Very cute.
He was adorable. Oh, we all welled up with tears on our end when he did that. He said, "This can be you someday." And all little Puerto Rican boys.
Exactly. It was very heated rivalry. And it's like a statement about representation and how important that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Felt really good. Yeah, it was just a great halftime show. Like
it was.
I'm not the biggest Bad Bunny fan. I think I recognize all the songs that he played, but I'm not like, you know, I wasn't like translating every lyric and doing all the interpretation, but
yeah.
It was clear from watching it, like what the intention was, especially after listening to him at the Grammys. It was really a wonderful show. It was great. I gotta say, Apple Music has been absolutely killing these halftime shows. Last year's as well.
Yeah, they're giving the artists like a lot of latitude to like make their own decisions about how they want things to look. And the cinematography, I think, has like really leveled up as well.
Yeah, just the production design in general, I think, has been insane. I mean, especially this Bad Bunny halftime show, but even the Kendrick one. And the cameos that they have always like work. Do you know what I mean? It never feels like... Do you remember, was it Coldplay that had many... There was like a bajillion cameos, you know? And it just felt a little bit like...
That one year with Bruno Mars and Beyonce who I think like saved the entire show, really.
It was almost like a three-hander, you know?
It really was.
Yeah.
They call a circle jerk in the music business.
So you know. That tracks.
Talk about masturbation.
It's a recurring theme on this episode, I guess.
Yeah.
Ads. The advertisements, the commercials, Geoff.
The advertisements, one might say.
What'd you think?
Well, I strangely didn't see any about Beyonce releasing a new album, so that was tough for me.
What do you mean strangely?
Well, I kind of expected it, you know? There have been a lot of Beyonce announcements in the past that happened during, the Super Bowl.
Okay. There has been, yeah.
I kind of thought that she was going to do one this time because we're due for album 3. Giselle, hello. Do we see what's happening in the world? Let's get it together, diva.
I was deeply saddened by the advertisements just because I think, like, if you take out all of the crypto, AI, and Ozempic ads, you're basically left with 3 ads. Those are the only ones that are left. Yeah. It was like 2 different companies of potato chips, Pringles and Lay's.
Yeah.
A lot of
Dunkin'
insurance.
Donuts.
Dunkin'.
T-Mobile.
That Comcast ad.
I don't think I saw that one.
The Comcast one was the Jurassic Park themed one with the really bad, like, AI de-aging.
Listen.
Everything is bad.
The de-aging that was going on and the AI in general in these commercials was absolutely, like, a heinous crime.
Heinous.
The Pepsi and the Coke polar bear commercial, which was so clearly AI, was awful. It looked bad, too. Like, if I can tell it's AI, it looks bad.
Yeah.
Very uncanny. I hated all the de-aging in the Jurassic Park Comcast commercial as well as the Dunkin' Donuts commercial.
Yeah.
Like, them de-aging Ben Affleck and Ted Danson and Jennifer Aniston.
Jason Alexander.
Yeah.
Here's the trend. The trend is just people are just paying celebrities in large numbers just to show up. And, like, the concept, like any actual funny comedic concept behind the ads just goes by the wayside.
Bankrupt. Yeah. It was not good. I have 2 positives that I actually thought were cute.
Sure.
One, and I know you're going to roll your eyes.
Well, you don't know.
I think you will. Was the Bald Eagle Budweiser commercial, the Clydesdales. It was pretty cute. You gotta admit.
In the context of the rest of the ads, it was one of the better ones.
It was very funny. Tough.
I was like, oh, I wonder what kind of bird it is. And then, like, halfway through, I was like, oh, it's definitely going to be a bald eagle.
I did not see it coming. I thought for sure it was a chicken. I thought that they were going to turn things on their head.
No.
Make it like a really, like, flying chicken. I was like, how fun.
The opposite of the ugly duckling. Everybody thinks it's an eagle, but it's really a chicken.
Do you remember Fly Away Home? Do you remember that movie?
That's ringing a bell, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
Anna Paquin, she teaches, like, these geese to migrate, and she's, like, flying around in, like, this little home-built, like, airplane, I think it was.
Damn.
One of those, like, little gyroscope planes, you know what I'm talking about? What do they call them? Ultralights.
Okay. So
they sell these things called ultralights, which are, like, little planes that you can build, like, in your backyard, and they're, like, heavily deregulated. And can be extremely dangerous.
I was going to say, sounds very safe.
Yeah. So I think in the movie she was, like, flying one of those, or maybe it was, like, one of those, like, paragliders, which is essentially just a gigantic fan on a lawn chair with a parachute. But anyway, she, like, teaches these geese to fly in formation, their classic V formation, as they're wont to do.
I definitely watched this. I'm having I was really
It's like a 90s kid movie,
I'm having a dreamlike recollection of this.
This was definitely like a movie that we rented from Blockbuster, like, on a Friday night,
Absolutely. This is a rental.
Like that kind of a vibe. 100% nobody owns that movie. But anyway, speaking of flying birds.
Oh, we got more.
Well, I was trying to use that as a segue, but I don't know to what. There was something.
And that's why you're on a podcast, Geoff. The skill, the absolute talent at work
I'm a professional.
Another ad you liked.
Okay, the other ad that I liked, that it wasn't that the content was great, it was just genius marketing, was the karaoke commercial.
That's crypto, Geoff. And I also hated that. It was bad.
It was Coinbase, but it was genius marketing because it was pretty quiet, and then the music started and there were no lyrics, so everybody's immediately, like, looking at the screen like, what's happening? I'm imagining this, because a lot of people have big Super Bowl parties, you understand. You went to one, right?
I was at a medium-sized Super Bowl party, yeah.
Yes. We had a very small viewing, I would say. It was not qualify as a party. But everybody stops talking and they're looking at the screen, and then everyone starts singing because it was a crowd pleaser song that everybody knows. And we unfortunately are at the age where it's like nostalgia flopism is, like, going to catch our attention.
Here's where it went wrong, though, Geoff.
Okay.
First of all, we started singing and then everybody was like, this is a little bit lame, actually. I'm going to stop. So there was, like, a lot of starting and stopping. Maybe if I was a lot drunker,
wow,
I would have been more into it.
Sounds like you were at a lame party.
Backstreet Boys, Backstreet's Back. We're just going to sing that cold turkey in the middle of a commercial break at the Super Bowl. I mean,
did it make everybody engaged and be like, what is this for?
Yeah, and then Coinbase came up and everybody was like, fuck you. It was a negative. It was an overall negative commercial experience. So, and it made me feel bad about Backstreet Boys. It made me feel bad about crypto once again.
Well, you know what was interesting was that we had 2 Backstreet Boy commercials. And I said, they really need some checks, I think. They really need some checks.
How? They've been doing like these millennial cringe nostalgia tours for the long time, you know? So like they got to be making money.
Justin and I went to one when we were in college.
Why are you talking like that? You weren't impressed?
It was not great.
And this is what I'm saying.
It was really not great. And there's only 4 of them. I said, where's Howie?
I'm sure that I personally know at least a couple people who are like huge fans of Backstreet Boys still, but this Super Bowl really made me a little bit cynical about that group.
I understand. And the game itself was like...
It was sleepy. Nobody scored a touchdown until the last quarter.
Yeah, but Seattle just like had it in the bag from the get-go, you know?
It was dominant by Seattle. You know, there was no 100%. Hope, basically. I had hope for exactly like 2 minutes after Patriots scored their first touchdown, and then after that there was the interception, and it was just over.
Said all things have taken a turn.
Things had taken a turn. I want to talk about one ad that I did find surprising and that I was excited about.
And good.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Good. We're ready for some good views from Justin. Let's hear it.
Do you remember when the Super Bowl used to be a time when they would like announce new works of art? Like the Beyonce announcement. Yes. Like there used to be like big movie trailers that hadn't already been released for the first time at the Super Bowl. And you'd be like, oh shit, like Iron Man 2 or whatever, you know, or whatever big blockbuster. And we did have a couple of those. Like we had Disclosure Day, had an ad at the beginning of the game, which was cool to see. But that trailer had already been, we'd already seen a trailer from that movie. So it wasn't new. There was a genuinely new surprise trailer for The Adventures of Cliff Booth, which is the new David Fincher film. That's the sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Brad Pitt.
Oh, yes. Okay, because we saw the trailer but didn't know what it was. They never said the name of the film.
It felt like old school. Like I knew what it was because I had heard about this film being made, but there had not been a trailer released. And I think it was kind of for like the heads. It was like, this is for people who have been paying attention and people maybe who watched the original Quentin Tarantino directed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a really interesting film because obviously Tarantino directed the first one. This second one is being directed by David Fincher.
Why is that?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's bizarre, honestly.
It is. Most unusual.
But Brad Pitt and David Fincher, common collaborators. They've collaborated many times. Benjamin Button, Seven.
What's in the back? No, what's in the box?
There you go. There you go. Yeah, and I'm hyped for that one because David Fincher is one of my favorite directors, and he hasn't made anything since, I think, The Killer, I believe, with Michael Fassbender on Netflix, which nobody knows about.
Justin, your door, I always think about this. The door that is behind you in the shots of this, I'm always like, is it locked? Because we have to watch out for The Killer. They can get behind you.
Well, the nice thing about this is that I can actually see the door. So this would actually not be a great horror movie setup because I can see if a killer comes out. Jeff,
what could happen?
This is such a right-wing talking point right now. You're telling me DC is crime infested. This is classic. I've been hearing this for the last 2 years, and Jeff, I'm full of it.
They're doing crime. They're sneaking across the border from Arlington. Taking your jobs.
Taking all the DC jobs?
They're taking all the DC jobs, the few jobs from science. It's tough out there.
Any other ads? Because that was really the only standout for me. I think there were a couple nice ones, like the Lay's ad was kind of sweet.
Wait, yes, I have one ad that I thought was funny.
Okay.
The Manscaped pubic hair. Well, I guess it's not necessarily pubic hair, but the hair.
The hair balls
clubs that were like singing.
Yeah.
With like anthropomorphic eyes. Very strange.
You liked that one?
I liked it because it was so kooky, and I was like, this is very first thought, and they fully executed it.
Yeah.
It's almost like an SNL, like it's like almost satirical the way that they did the commercial, but I enjoyed it.
There was a certain like uncanniness to a lot of the commercials where it was like, these just feel like SNL skits, you know?
Yeah. Oh my God, wait. No, I'm so sorry. I have one that I thought was actually genuinely good and cool. It was the Squarespace commercial shot by Yorgos Lanthimos with Emma Stone.
Yes.
And I was like, she is so good that I'm immediately like being moved by her performance in this.
Moved by a Squarespace commercial.
Yeah, which is like clearly like silly and like, you know, totally like a melodrama. But I really was like, damn, she's so good.
It was like objectively good in terms of like the cinematic quality, but it is like dark that Yorgos Lanthimos, one of our most esteemed directors, is making a Squarespace commercial. Like the fucking podcast company, the YouTube ad company, we're hiring Yorgos for that. Come on.
We love Squarespace, and if they're interested in being a sponsor, we're happy to have them.
Yeah, and we are not quite the artist that Yorgos Lanthimos is. Listen.
That's true.
I call him like I see him, you know, and I'm happy to shill for Squarespace if I need to. I would love that. So Squarespace, give us a call. It's not you, it's Yorgos.
Wow. Well, Justin, that's all I have to say about the ads. And the Super Bowl was a moment, but we have a couple more that we got to like cover very quickly here.
Couple other hot tops.
I want to just like talk briefly about the opening ceremony of the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics. Justin, I know you were just watching some highlights of it. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Watching is a bit of a stretch. I sat down to record this podcast. I pulled up the Peacock replay of the opening ceremony, and I scrubbed through about 2 seconds of it. And I saw some stills, and that's about as much as I know. I saw, I think, some... You ever been to a baseball game where the mascot races around the bases?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I saw one scene that was like 3 Italian composers who I did not know, was not familiar with.
Uncultured swine on the pod.
And the announcers were like, of course, these 3 famous Italian composers, they're so recognizable. I'm like, these all look like the B-list founding fathers. You know?
They sure did. Old white guys with gray hair. Listen, you know what, Justin? That's what a lot of them looked like back in the day. Oh, you know what? And many of them still do, really. Wait, speaking of guys looking crazy, let's just talk about this. I know we moved on to the Winter Olympics, but I just want to quickly revisit the Guy Fieri ad.
That was a good one.
I have never seen him not with his like, you know, frosted hair and goatee, and seeing him like dressed as like in normcore clothing was wild to me.
I fully did not recognize him until the transformation happened, and then I was like, oh my God.
Completely unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember what the ad was. Doesn't matter. I just was like shocked by it.
It was like some kind of appliance company. That was one of the best
Bosch.
ones.
That's right.
Yes,
it was Bosch. German appliance maker.
And this is reminding me of another ad that I did think was actually kind of batshit and pretty funny. And it had only one celebrity in it, which is refreshing in today's landscape.
Yeah.
The Andy Samberg mayonnaise ad. Did you see that one?
I didn't see that one.
It was quite funny. Very Lonely Island.
What happened in it?
He's just like this absurd character. He has like these caterpillar brow, like makeup, like fake brows on with this insane like mullet wig. His whole personality is that he's just putting mayonnaise on everybody else's sandwich at the diner. And he's just going insane with it. It was very simple, very effective. Andy Samberg doing what he's great at.
Damn, he said full goblin mode on the mayonnaise.
Oh, yeah. I think it was Hellman's, but I could be wrong.
What other mayonnaise company even is there, you know?
Some people like Duke's.
They've kind of got a corner of the market.
I cannot believe that I failed to mention this, but Andy Samberg is actually playing a Neil Diamond impersonator in this commercial, and he sings an unhinged Mayo-themed cover of Sweet Caroline. After watching it again, I think I can firmly say this is my favorite ad of the big game, trademark. Elle Fanning is also in this ad for some reason, so I guess there are 2 celebrities present. Anyways, back to the show.
You should be that for Halloween, because you already kind of look like Andy Samberg. I think it's a great idea.
I've been told. I have been turtleneck and chain for Halloween already, so...
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. You can do another character of his.
But the Winter Olympics.
Let's get back to the Olympics. Firstly, I think it's hysterical that it was like shortly after that part, the 3 Italian composer, giant big head mascots running around the stage. Mm-hmm. They had like about 100 people come dressed as like those mocha pots that they make espresso in.
Okay.
All multicolors. It was fascinating. Once again, I have to say the NBC announcers for the Olympics like just make me laugh because they're so juvenile, I guess, or like green. They had the part where they were like, they had giant tubes of paint because they were like doing an ode to like the Renaissance artists. And, you know, it was red, yellow, and blue, our primary colors. And the announcer's like, and did you know you can get all the colors you see below from the dancing mocha pots if you mix these 3 colors together?
My God.
I was like, sir, I also did go to pre-K, believe it or not. It was wild. I was like, why did they think to say that out loud?
Sounds like riveting commentary.
Yeah, well, here's the whole thing about the Olympic ceremony. The opening was pretty boring. I was like, okay, firstly, they did the March of Athletes, a parade of athletes, whatever they say.
Yep.
That is always like kind of fun, but I'm sorry. If there's like 3 people on the team, they don't need their own section. Like, let's get a bunch of them together and keep it moving. You know,
is the elephant in the room here that this is the Winter Olympics, the black sheep of the Olympics?
You said we're on the budget. You know, that's part of it, but I feel bad because there's a lot of major sports that this is their time to shine. Curling, Justin.
Would you describe that as a major sport?
Okay, well, not in our country, but Canada, it's a big deal. It's a big deal in Canada. What about downhill skiing?
Ice hockey is really the biggest one.
Ice hockey, heated rivalry. They're having a moment.
I mean, it's a moment. Yeah,
we love figure skating, Justin. That is huge.
Yeah, it's big. You know, it also is big, Geoff.
My dick.
Well, you know whose dicks are also big. Have you heard about this?
Oh, of course, Penisgate.
The ski jumping conspiracy.
Getting absolutely pumped for the gig.
Do you want to describe this, or should I describe what the...
You go ahead. This one's all you.
What's it called? Penisgate? That's what we're calling it?
Well, I'm calling it Penisgate. I don't know.
Okay, well...
Inflategate?
Peenflategate. Yeah.
Yeah, Peenflategate. I like that. Peenflategate.
We're calling it Peenflategate. Okay.
Yeah.
So, ski jumpers. There's specific restrictions on how tight their like skin suit can be, because if there's any like loose fabric like under the arms or between the legs, it can form like basically a glider, and you can get like significant distance just from gliding on that extra fabric, right?
They're like real life sugar gliders.
Exactly. I mean, you see these jumpers.
You know, sugar gliders also are real. You know what I'm saying?
They're human-sized sugar gliders. I knew what you meant.
You get it. You get me.
But you've seen them like jump off the ramp. They're going so fast. So like you can imagine even a little bit of fabric extra on the outfit. They could glide like maybe a few more meters.
Oh, yeah. The parachute effect.
There's currently a rumor going around. I don't think that there's like an official investigation, but there is a rumor. It's a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory, but with scientific backing. There's enough of this that it has happened before, that when the male athletes specifically, have been fitted for the suits, beforehand, they are allegedly, some of them, getting an injection of hyaluronic acid directly into the shaft of their penis.
Yeah.
To engorge, some would say, the penis, thus requiring a larger outfit.
Right.
And then when the penis shrinks, come the Olympics, you got that little flap in the crotch area.
The Olympics.
The flap in the crotch area gives you a little bit extra hang time. So this is currently what the hot goss is at the Winter Olympics. Geoff, thoughts?
So what I was told, and I haven't validated this in my own research, not science, I was told that Team Norway has gotten in trouble for this in the past, and that it used to also be permissible to wear undergarments underneath these outfits. But then before that,
stuffing a sock in there.
Yeah, that's literally what they were doing. They were like packing. They were packing the underwear, padding the underwear. So then they were like, okay, guys, no more underwear. And then last year, well, I should keep saying last year, but it was last Winter Olympics, Team Norway was allegedly like fined and under investigation for having inflated their dicks with filler beforehand so that they could get that extra hang time, more surface area, more drag, more time in the air. That's science again.
That's science. Now that's science.
Justin, if you had to right now, without preparation, just go right into a high school classroom and start teaching, what subject would you teach? No prep.
Probably genetics. That's the easiest one. Like the central dogma. Biology.
Okay, biology is what we're going to do, because that was high school level. No one's taking a genetics class in high school.
Well, yeah, but I would teach a biology class about genetics. That would be the class I would go right into.
But they don't have that in high school.
You learn about what DNA is in high school.
No, I'm saying like, okay, yes, of course. There's like a component of it
of genetics. Yes. I wouldn't teach like an entire advanced genetics course in high school. I'm just saying if I had to go in and teach something that's high school level, I would definitely be talking about DNA. That's my stuff.
Makes sense.
What about you?
Oh, well,
architecture, history.
Do you know what? Actually, because I don't really think that there, unless maybe some fancy schools that like have like the AP program or something, I really don't think there's a lot of space for doing architecture or art history. But probably like, I think English. I think English. If I had no prep and they were like, you got to go teach an English class, because I'd be like, guys, Let's talk about metaphors. Let's talk about the rising and the falling action. Let's expand our vocabulary.
What would your like monoculture example be to discuss rising and falling action? Like, what's something that the youths are aware of now that you'd be like, here's an example of a narrative, like the hero's journey or whatever?
Oh, Oh, I have to think about that. I've hung up my young person hat a long time ago now, Justin. I'm not sure what the kids are into.
You're Gen Z.
Well, I'm, 29, but it's quickly turning to 30. I don't know what I would do. What are the kids like these days?
I feel like people are familiar with Star Wars still.
What about Avatar?
The Last Airbender?
The Last Airbender.
Okay, good to clarify.
Yeah.
I think kids are into that. Yeah.
No, we should talk about Bluey.
That's high school? The kids who are watching Bluey are in high school now?
How old are the kids in high school? What year were they born? Like 2005, 6?
I mean, they're 14-ish when they start freshman year, right?
I don't even know what was popular. Oh, it'd be like, y'all remember the Black Eyed Peas?
Crickets.
That was like their childhood music,
Yeah.
I got a feeling.
Okay, anything else before we get too off track here?
Delete all of that.
Anything else about the Olympics?
Oh, Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey was at the opening ceremony.
She was at the opening ceremony. She sang an Italian song that I don't know.
I'm sure she killed it.
Okay, now you know I'm a lamb.
Uh-oh.
She sounded not great, and she also was not moving around very much, so I was thinking maybe she was sick or was like very uncomfortable in her costume. What I was very impressed by was her pronunciation of Italian, and they spelled it out phonetically for her. So I saw like the little prompter monitor. Mm-hmm. What's it called?
The teleprompter.
Yeah. And it was all phonetically spelled Italian.
We got to get one of those.
I really do need one of those because I forget about what I'm thinking about all the time. Forget about what I'm saying all the time.
Forget about what you're thinking about.
Yeah. What about contact lens with the teleprompter in it?
That's dystopian AI. Shit, though. That's dystopia. Let's move on from that horrible idea. Don't put that into the universe. Speaking of things that we don't want in the universe, Geoff.
Yes.
We got to bring this up because it's been, I would say, in the headlines. It's one of the biggest stories that's happened this week.
Crazy story.
I'm not a Today Show fan as much as you are a morning show person.
I am.
Yeah. And I know that Hoda Kotb, that's how you pronounce. I always forget how to pronounce her name.
Justin, how dare you?
I know that Hoda is replacing Savannah Guthrie at the Today Show because
Justin, how dare you again? How dare you times 2? Okay. She's not replacing Savannah. She's stepping in.
She's stepping in. Yes, temporarily. I should have specified. Yes.
Thank you.
And that's because
Savannah Guthrie is dealing with the absolutely terrible story about her mother being kidnapped for ransom out in Arizona where she lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very strange. There's been very little information and evidence released to the public about the kidnapping, but the kidnappers are demanding $6 million payment in return for Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy.
Well, I do want to just include a little caveat, which is that we don't have any confirmation that any of the ransom letters or any of the communications are actually coming from the kidnappers. So there's a lot that we don't know. Yeah.
There's been some very dubious stuff going on. So the surveillance camera that she has set up in her house, that security system was turned off and then physically removed from the property like 20 minutes before they believe that she was kidnapped.
Yeah, a Ring camera.
There was some blood found on the scene that does belong to her, but she kind of like lives out in the country in Catalina, Arizona. Mm-hmm. So it's very strange. It seems like somebody must have seen something. But we are hoping for Nancy's safe return and, hoping all the best for her family.
I mean, we're playing into it, but whenever a high profile, or a family member of a high profile celebrity, something like this happens to them, it just creates this frenzy, and that's why I wanted to add the caveat about the kidnappers. I mean, we've seen fake ransom notes before, fake letters coming from alleged killers in the past, so it's just a very difficult situation that Savannah's in, and I feel for her because it's a tightrope walk between knowing how much to share with the public, how much to communicate with these alleged kidnappers, and how much to keep in a closed circle with the police, so it's just a very difficult situation, and I think we're both really thinking of of her and her family at this time. Okay, some truly breaking news on the Tuesday night before this episode drops. As I edit the episode, it has just been reported by ABC News that there is a person who has been detained for questioning in connection with Nancy Guthrie's abduction. So we don't have too many details at this point, but it seems like things may be coming to a head in the investigation. We have Nancy and her daughter in our thoughts, of course, but let's get back to the show.
Justin, I think there's one more thing that you wanted to talk about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
There is one more thing. And this is a new television show that was just announced to be in development.
One more thing.
Jeff, do you remember a while back, it was probably over a year ago, that I had Baldur's Gate 3 as my What's Good? It's a video game.
Of course I remember this. Justin, of course I remember. I always listen to you when you're talking.
That's so not true. Baldur's Gate 3.
There are a lot of accusations flying today on the podcast coming from your direction, sir.
Baldur's Gate 3 is a video game. It won Video Game of the Year, I think in 2023, Game of the Year at the Game Awards. It is unanimously considered like one of the modern classics of gaming. It's like an RPG that's heavily, well, it is based on the Dungeons and Dragons game set, right?
Is Vecna in it?
Vecna specifically is not. However, there are mind flayers play a very important part in the plot of Baldur's Gate 3. And news recently broke on Deadline that a TV series based on Baldur's Gate 3 is in development at HBO, and Craig Mazin, not sure how to pronounce his name, who is the co-creator of The Last of Us, is on board as showrunner. So yeah, this is like another one of those, and you know we love video game IP being turned into different forms of media here on the pod. We're always talking about it.
Absolutely.
Jeff, does this interest you in any way? This is, Dungeons and Dragons fantasy universe.
Justin, this is surprising to me.
Okay. Tell me why.
Because who cares about this?
You love The Last of Us, though. You're really into The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which is also based on a game.
It sure is. I just am I think I'm just kind of over fantasy right now. I think I've had enough of it right now.
Interesting. Well,
no more thank you. My plate is full, but maybe
you have
next
enough of
time.
It. Yeah. It's not that you're sick of it. It's that you're like, I have enough fantasy in my life.
My thirst for fantasy feels quenched at this exact moment.
Sated. Yeah.
I'm sated. Justin, see, this is why I should be teaching English. I've got an extensive vocabulary like you wouldn't believe. I know words. I know the best words. Many people are saying this.
Yeah, everybody is saying those exact words, and those people, we love them on the pod.
And they're right.
What's interesting about this is that Baldur's Gate 3 is different than The Last of Us, because The Last of Us is a very linear game. You play as a specific character, and the game has a beginning, middle, end. It's the same for every player.
Right.
Baldur's Gate 3 is an RPG. You create your player character, and then there's a branching storyline that can go in any number of directions. And I don't want to spoil the game for anyone, but the endings can vary wildly. And what's more interesting is that this show is not just a direct adaptation of Baldur's Gate 3. It's going to take place after the events of the game.
Okay.
So I think that people who are big fans of the game are going to be very curious to see which of the endings is kind of canonized in the show. Because there's a lot of strong opinions about that in the fandom.
I can see that.
Have you ever played a branching RPG?
Well, I'm trying to think about that. Well, one could say Pokemon is a branching RPG.
That's true. I mean, but
what about Final Fantasy?
Final Fantasy. I think most Final Fantasies have one ending. They're mostly linear.
What about that song, What Can I Do For You? Remember that from Final Fantasy? I want to say it was 7 or 8 for PlayStation. Hikaru Utada. I think that's what the name was of the artist.
Hikaru Utada?
Yes, Utada.
I'm thinking she was heavily featured on the Kingdom Hearts soundtracks. That's where I know her from.
When you walk away.
Yes, that's Kingdom Hearts.
You know what? That song still fucking slaps, bitch.
Yeah.
That was a slow skate song, or slow dance.
Simple and clean, banger. Sanctuary, banger.
Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. Look, I'm doing the Bad Bunny grass dancing.
Yeah.
That's what it should have been like. I would like to see that performed at the Super Bowl. Let's do Final Fantasy.
Hikaru Utada for the Super Bowl is what you're saying?
That's exactly right. Justin, Let's have a Super Bowl halftime show for the weebs. Let's have a Super Bowl halftime show for the weebs.
Oh, it's BTS? We're doing BTS. Oh yeah,
we're doing that. But I'm also talking about like old school anime songs. Like I want the Sailor Moon.
Damn, this is crazy. This is a crazy concept. Right?
We've never talked about anime stuff before.
We would have to have a Japanese artist, right?
Of course.
But BTS, K-pop famously. Yeah.
I was just going to say I also would like the Korean singers in there. Also, Chinese pop star. There is like this like Chinese pop star. I can't remember her name. She was like the Celine Dion of China, and she had a huge song in 1994 that I did have on cassette because I was in, what was that store at the mall called that had like all the records and stuff?
FYE, For Your Entertainment.
Yes, FYE. And they had like one of her songs playing. You know, when you could like go in and put the big headphones on,
test out, and it would be like playing.
CDs, you could like pick through the CDs. That song was on there, and I got the cassette version of it.
Rest in peace, mall culture.
I really miss the mall, man. I really miss the mall. Justin, spin-off pod where we just talk about nostalgic things.
Nostalgia is actually poison, Geoff.
15 minutes long, the episodes.
Okay, so we're talking short form.
Very short form.
You think you can keep your nostalgia thoughts to 15 minutes?
Oh, that's the perfect amount of time for me to talk about one thing.
Okay, and then can I get a word in during those 15 minutes? Or I'm just asking if this is possible.
I'm absolutely ripped to shreds on the pod by you. Point for you. Justin said you're talking too much.
I would never say that. I'm just asking questions.
I would never say that. I would just passive aggressively suggest it.
Well, Geoff, I'm about to passive aggressively suggest that we move on to our main topic. So why don't we take a quick break?
Justin, I really think that's for the best. And we're back.
Geoff, we're so back. And we are kicking off a 2-week period of Charli stand-em on the pod.
Wait, 2 week? Oh, right.
Today we're talking about the film The Moment.
I know what's going on.
The Charli xcx starring film that just released this past weekend.
It did.
Next week we're talking about Wuthering Heights, which of course features an entire soundtrack album from Charli. And listeners, if you somehow didn't figure it out by now, we're Charli stans here on the pod. So you know we had to cover The Moment.
Now you know we love Charli.
You know we love Charli. Of course, The Moment is the feature-length debut from director Aiden Zamiri, who is the director of Charli's 360 and guest music videos. He's directed a lot of other artist music videos as well. It was written by Zamiri and also by Bertie Brandis, who is a first-time screenwriter but longtime journalist. And the film was based on an original idea from Charli xcx. So this film obviously stars Charli as a fictionalized version of herself. It also stars Kate Berlant, Alexander Skarsgård, Jamie Demetro, and Haley Benton Gates. And there's also many cameos from celebrities, including Rachel Sennett and Kylie Jenner.
Yeah.
This movie is a mockumentary, and it purportedly documents the period just after the release of Brat, which of course took the world by storm spring into summer 2024. But before Charli embarked on the Brat Stadium tour.
Right.
So it features kind of Charli preparing for that tour and the behind the scenes drama that followed from Brat's success.
It's very much like giving This Is Spinal Tap energy.
It is in the vein of Spinal Tap. So Geoff.
This is Spinal Tap.
I will say this movie, it premiered at Sundance.
Yeah.
A lot of the mainstream critical reviews have been mixed, if not negative. I would say it's a polarizing film. I think if last time I checked on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 57 or something like that. It's not very positively reviewed on that site. So with that context, Geoff, what do you think of this movie?
I love this movie. I went in with like low expectations because the reviews were bad, but there wasn't like a lot to it because it's, you know, it's like a documentary. Okay. When I say that, I mean like plot wise, there wasn't a lot to it. There wasn't like a huge twist or anything like that. Like there wasn't a ton of like writing that had to happen for this like mockumentary to exist. And so I think people were like, well, this was kind of boring. But if you're a big Charli fan and you also are interested in things that she's interested in, which is like the idea of selling out, the idea of cringe culture, then I do think that this film is really fascinating and engaging. And I have to say, surprisingly well acted, and like the dialogue I think in the film is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So like while there's not a ton of like, narrative stuff that is written, Justin, I should really teach English.
It's a master of the English language over here. You're just killing it every single week on the pod. The vocabulary off the charts. The sentence structure immaculate.
I'm saying a lot of words. Saying a lot of words here. Oh my gosh, I gotta shut up. You tell me things.
Okay. The moment. This movie, I can see why it was polarizing. I think a lot of film critics that did not understand Brat watched this movie, reviewed it, didn't get it.
Right.
I think that there is a perception of Brat Summer, especially now in hindsight, of being exclusively this just like party girl, like we're all going to go out and rave and do a bunch of cocaine. And like that's what Brat is.
Right.
As we talked about on our multiple episodes about Brat, right? We had our episode on the main album with Gilly, and we also had our episode on the remix album, both of which were great. The albums, not necessarily the episodes, but the albums were both great. We know that there's actually a lot more under the surface, and a lot of Brat is actually like Charli looking inward at herself.
Yeah, very introspective.
And the way that she uses kind of this party girl persona as like a facade to hide a lot of her insecurities.
Right.
And it really is a lot about her insecurities. And this film, in a lot of ways, is quintessentially Charli in the same way, in that it portrays, first of all, that perception that people had of Brat, right? Like the cringe, like just 365 party girl aspect of Brat.
365 party girl.
That people from the outside saw as like the exclusive feature of the Brat movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how kind of like cringe that became and like lame, right? And Charli is not afraid to make fun of herself in this movie, which I think is like, again, quintessentially Charli. And it also tackles, in a similar vein, the balance between art and commerce in 2020, at the time 2024, but it continues to be relevant now in 2026.
Yeah. Contemporaneous tale.
That is a topic that we love on the pod, right? That's why we both love The Studio.
Yes.
Pop music is inherently kind of cringe, right? Like we love pop music here on the pod, but like promoting pop music as an artist, just pop music in general and the culture surrounding it, stan culture, fan culture is inherently cringe. And Charli, she totally understands that. And that is a lot of what this film is about.
Yeah. I think she understands like the kind of vapid culture that surrounds all things in the pop landscape. And she's kind of like, well, yeah, it is kind of like lame and dumb. And like, I think at one point she does say, she's like, is this embarrassing?
It's like the second scene in the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're like, no, it's cool.
There is this like epic opening montage of like 2024 to like basically recapping how big of a phenomenon Brat was. Right.
Right.
And then it cuts into Charli trying to record like an iHeartRadio ad. Right. And she's like,
Yes.
I hope y'all are having a Brat summer. And then she's like, wait, is that cringe that I'm saying this? And then her like bud who's helping her record the bit is like,
Lloyd,
it's all cringe, just do it like it's all cringe. And I think that is, I mean, she's very knowing about the position that she's in as a pop star.
Right.
Let's just say, without talking about spoilers, I do think that there is like a second into third act shift that happens where the events of the film significantly diverge from the way that the Brat rollout happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me actually is kind of a twist, because I didn't expect Charli to go that hard with this, like in an alternate universe type way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the movie is also about how that fame and like the Brat movement and the phenomenon that it was is very seductive, and how everybody around you just wants it to keep going.
Right. Exactly.
And it wants you to totally embody that. And Charli, who, is famously a 365 party girl, there's a great line in this movie where she's like, I never want to leave the party. Like, I want to be the last one at the party. Like, I know that it's cringe to be the last one at the party, but I still want to be that person.
Yeah.
And as much as this film is a criticism of other pop stars, which we'll get into, I'm sure, I do think that Charli identifies with those other pop stars, because like she portrays herself giving into that seduction in this film. It's not like I am the righteous one and you all have made the wrong decision.
No.
Instead, she is saying, like, I too am seduced by this feeling of needing to stay on top, of needing to keep things going, to keep this movement, this phenomenon going, right? And I think that's like really fascinating and very knowing of her. I thought it was genuinely like very cool. And I think that people who don't know Charli that well just didn't get that depth.
I think the movie's like greatest strength is it's sort of like focused on that thought of about how do we stay on top, and like capturing like the frenzy that goes around it on the back end, like all the people that surround her and are telling her, yes, everything's great, good idea, good content, great decision, keep it going. And her label and the pressures she's feeling from the label, but also the pressure that she's feeling from her fans to like live up to being a 365 party girl. Like there was that scene where she was like talking about how she hadn't actually been to a club in forever. And so they go out to a nightclub and she's like, I'm exhausted, but I have to do this.
Right.
She like wants to be there, but she's also like, I do still have this image that I've now like everyone's associating me with that I have to like keep up to it.
And then once she's there, she's like having a great time, but she's like, I know that I need to fucking sleep, right? Like she's like, I need to sleep. But she ends up staying up all night because she is, again, she never wants to leave the party early, right? She wants to be the last one of the party.
I think that Charli suffers from the same condition that I have, which is FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're just like, is everybody hanging out without us? Are you guys having fun and I'm not there?
I mean, that's the name of the film, right? It's the moment. You don't want to miss the moment. You don't want to miss an opportunity that the moment is affording you.
Right. We are heathens all.
I do want to get back into her relationship with the fans because I think that's a really fascinating part of the film.
The meet and greet? Is that what you're going to talk about?
I think that's one of the most important scenes in the film. So, okay.
I agree.
Let's talk about the kind of the setup for the big twist that happens. And then once we get into the big twist, I think we should probably do like a spoiler warning for people that haven't seen the film. But the kind of setup that has been seeded early in the film is that the record label has come up with this idea of a collaboration with a bank to offer a brat credit card.
A troubled bank.
A troubled bank about to go bankrupt that is like, we'll partner with Atlantic Records and we'll offer this brat credit card, which is this, I mean, it's exactly what you imagine. It's this brat green with the brat font on it. Like, it's very funny. And she goes to this like meet and greet of people that have been accepted for the brat credit card.
Yeah, it's like a launch event.
Right. It's a launch event for the credit card.
She's going to do a little concert and then have like a little meet and greet afterwards.
And there's this man who comes up and he's like, you saved my life with your music. You know what I mean? And Charli, first of all, is already doubting herself and is already very self-aware about how kind of like potentially cringe this music is that she has now become a phenomenon over.
Right. And she's also tired from staying up in the aforementioned club all night.
Exactly. And she's like uncomfortable in this interaction because she's like, "This my music saved your life? Fucking club classics saved your life."
Singing about cocaine.
So she's already uncomfortable. And then somebody from the bank is like, "Oh, can you just like hold up the brat card?"
It's crazy.
To the guy, and the guy's like, "Anything for you, Charli," right?
Yeah. And he also says like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, I like tried to kill myself." And she's like, "Oh." And then the people from the bank are like, "Oh, can you hold up the credit card for the photo?" And then her people are like, "Okay, we've got to get to the next person." And this guy's like pouring his heart out to her. And she's just like feeling torn by all these different entities vying for her attention and kind of keep things moving.
I feel this tension all the time.
Do you have people coming up to you being like, "I tried to kill myself"?
No, not at all.
Your music saved my life.
That's not what I'm saying. But
Justin, your research saved my life. Where would we be without the worms?
You know that I'm a big fan of electronic music.
I know you love electronic music.
You know I love dance music. Dance music is inherently kind of cringe, right? Like DJ culture is cringe.
Put your hands up.
How many jokes have there been about like, we have enough DJs, like no more DJs, stop.
Oh my God, I know. Between that and podcasters, I don't know how you have any self-esteem left. Point for me.
It's very true. But it also is like, it doesn't make it any less meaningful to the people that care about it.
Exactly.
So there's this like inherent dichotomy and tension there. And Charli is like attacking that very specific tension in this film. And it's like embodied in that interaction with this fan who like clearly her music means a lot to him.
A lot to him.
And she is like, A, doubting her own music, and B, is like actively selling out with this brat card.
Yeah. That
we go on to learn is actually like kind of predatory in that it is like targeting people who maybe don't have the best credit scores. And then there's fallout from that, right? Like there is very objective and like tangible fallout from the fact that she had this commercial partnership.
I think that is one of like the strongest scenes of the movie. And I gotta say, I think that throughout the entire movie, but especially in that scene, Charli is such a great actor. I was like delighted by it because I think we talked about when she was on SNL, she had like really good moments and was really great. And then there were some times where it felt a little uneven. So I was a little bit nervous about her performance in the movie to see what it would be like. But I think she did a great job. And I think that she really perfectly captured it's a lived experience for her too, though.
Right. She is playing like a heightened version of herself in this film.
Yeah.
Maybe before we get into like the final act, which I think is the spoilery part, let's talk about performances of the other actors that are in the film, because we talked about Charli. How about Alexander Skarsgård, who plays the director Johannes Godwin? He is the director that's brought in to direct the Brat concert film.
Yes.
Him and Charli's creative director, who's played by Haley Benton Gates, and her name is Celeste. They butt heads creatively over the direction of the stadium tour.
Yeah, from the jump.
This is basically this is the conflict of the film, right? Is like, who is going to have creative control of the tour?
One might say the inciting conflict.
Yeah, I would say so.
English teacher.
So what do you think of those two actors, Alexander Skarsgård and Haley Benton Gates?
I thought that Alexander Skarsgård was extremely funny. He was playing like such a fucking douchebag. He was like that dude who like studied abroad in South Africa for a semester and now is just like talking about Afrikaans and how great their culture is.
Geoff, can I ask you a huge favor?
Yeah.
Can you Google the name Sam Wrench, like the tool?
Yes. Sam Wrench, like the tool. Just kidding. Okay.
Do you have the images up?
I do. This guy looks vaguely familiar.
Does this guy look perhaps like Alexander Skarsgård to you?
Damn. Okay. So tell me who the Sam Wrench is. Oh my God.
Well, Geoff, this is
my God. I just got it. Okay.
Well, Geoff, this is the director of Taylor Swift The Eras Tour.
Damn.
So this is targeted. This is maybe where we talk about
shots being fired.
The fact that this movie is also a 90-minute long takedown
hit piece
on Taylor Swift in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because this guy clearly is modeled on this real life film director who's directed like Taylor Swift and all of these other huge, I think also Billie Eilish in many of their concert films. So this is like very heavily based on the real actual music industry. Clearly.
This makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay. So, and then like, those concert films that you just described, especially the Eras Tour, was like glittery fluff, I think you could say.
Yeah. How about Haley Benton Gates, who plays Celeste, the creative director behind Brat?
Okay. I love Celeste. And to me, she was like a total stand-in for Charli's actual creative director, who's Terrence O'Connor. Like they even had like the same like little gap in their front teeth. They have like a similar demeanor for how Terrence is presented online anyway. And also had like the edgy kind of preppy look thing going on, which I really liked.
Yeah.
But I thought her performance was great. She just was like, really cool and seemed like fun to hang out with.
I'd be a bad Charli stan if I didn't mention that in addition to Terrence O'Connor, Imogen Strauss was an instrumental creative director behind Brat. It's possible that Celeste is an amalgam of both real-life figures, or we're just totally wrong and Celeste is based entirely on Strauss. Let's get back into it. I found her to be like the audience surrogate.
100%. She's like the straight man.
Who's like telling Charli, like, don't succumb to the fame, to the desire to just like keep riding this moment.
Yeah, she's like, let's do what is true to us and what we do. Like, let's not lose our identity.
And from the beginning, Charli is saying to her, or saying to everybody around her, like the label, her manager, she's like, Celeste is the only one who gets it. Like, she's the one who gets Brat in a way that other people don't get Brat. And she's the only one that can do it. So, like, Charli knows, right? I think that's an important feature of this whole conflict, is that Charli knows that Celeste is the one who should have creative control.
Yeah.
But it's just this desire to keep it going. She has FOMO. She's like, I could take this higher, right? I can make this really mainstream if I push just a little bit harder. And I will say that Haley Benton Gates has been on a little bit of a run. Let me give you a list of some of the films and TV shows that she's been in the last few years.
Name them.
Challengers. Ever heard of it?
I think I have.
One of our fave films on the pod. I think this is like one of our canonical, like shared favorites on the pod. Challengers. Marty Supreme. Ever heard of it?
Never saw that. Don't know what it is.
And this is one that I'm sure you haven't watched, but she also was featured in Twin Peaks: The Return, which is the David Lynch kind of rebooted season 3 of Twin Peaks, which is one of the best TV shows in the last few years. Came out in 2017. She is on a bit of a tear, and she's going to be in the A24 film The Drama, which is starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, the wedding film.
I'm very excited for that film, I have to tell you.
It looks really good.
It sure does. I saw another preview for it when I was seeing the moment, and I said, damn, I cannot wait. My little hands are rubbing together.
Haley Benton Gates, I think she's one to watch. I think she's an up-and-comer.
One to watch. A star on the rise.
Absolutely. And Alexander Skarsgård, like you said, perfectly used. Hilarious.
Physical comedy good.
He has this classic, what I think is now kind of like a trope of like co-opting like quote unquote woke language to actually forward his own agenda.
Mm-hmm. And also terrorize other people.
Right. Exactly.
Like he was truly like screaming at people. He was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
In the film.
The man sucks. He sucks.
What a great actor. He really can do it all.
So let's maybe take a quick second to give a warning before we get into the third act of the film. What's up, y'all? If you want to skip spoilers for the final act of The Moment, you can go ahead and skip to 1:21:30. Let's get back to the show.
Spoilers abound, F-slurs.
So there is quite a development that happens, which I think is a little bit based on, dare I say, the Kamala Brat tweet. That does not happen in the film. But instead, there is this kind of like earth-shattering thing that happens where Charli posts something quickly on her Instagram and then unintentionally basically causes this fallout, which it's hard not to compare that to what happened in real life, where Charli kind of like offhandedly tweeted, Kamala is Brat. Mm-hmm. And then we got all this discourse afterwards. So it's not like a one-to-one comparison, right?
Yeah.
But I think that is kind of what it's partially based on.
I agree with you. I do think that this is like kind of what everybody who's like on the up and on the top deals with, is like that everything that they say suddenly becomes like fodder for headlines and news.
Right.
And your fans and your stans especially are going to go bananas over it by reposting and like supporting and propping you up.
Right. And a lot of the Brat Summer is Dead headlines came after the Kamala is Brat tweet, right? Mm-hmm. And in the world of this film, instead of the Kamala is Brat tweet, it's this Instagram post endorsing the Brat card.
Right.
And what ends up happening is a bunch of people sign up for the Brat card.
The thing is that the reason that she's like promoting this and saying, you know, you should get your ticket for this, is that in the film, she's like kind of running low on funds to make her show as big as the director wants it to be. So she's like, right. Oh, I'll do this promo. Then the label's like, okay, great. And also we'll do a thing where like the bank agrees to pay for 2 tickets, you know, for each person who opens a Brat card.
Right.
So then she promotes this. The bank is, like you said, predatory and like going after a demographic of people who don't have great credit, who are young, who are fans of her work,
who are queer. Yeah. How do you know that they're queer, Geoff? How do you know?
That was so funny.
That was one of the best scenes in the film.
I loved it.
That and another one that's related to the Brat card, but we'll get to that.
So she posts this tweet and then a bunch of people open the card and they immediately like default on payments on the card because, you know, as we said, it was predatory. And so then the bank like has to shutter. It's already in bad financial stakes, but this like really puts them over the edge. They have to shutter. And then they're like, well, we don't have money to pay for these tickets. So then the label's like, well, we're not paying for them. So Charli's now responsible and on the hook for coming up with the money for these tickets.
There's a great line where the label head is like, so we're going to pay for these gay criminals to come to your show? That was the biggest laugh out loud moment.
That was very funny. All these gay criminals.
My theater was pretty full.
That's fun.
Yeah.
This is a fun movie to watch with a group.
Yeah, because like people who are coming out on opening weekend to the moment, that, you know, they're the Charli stans. And that's the other thing that I really respect about this movie, is that Charli also is not afraid to throw a little bit of shade at her fans too. Do you know what I mean?
Say more.
She's like, I know none of you would be able to make these credit card payments. You fools.
That's funny.
Yeah. I thought it was genuinely, first of all, a funny turn, but also just like some of the best lines in the movie came from the Brat card fallout for sure.
Yeah. Pretty great.
But what ends up happening though is that after this like whole drama happens with the Brat card, she actually ends up taking the Taylor Swift route and goes with Johannes's creative vision instead of Celeste's.
Mm-hmm.
The final scene of the film, which to me was very genius, has one of the best needle drops of this year. Ends with Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, which is like, I mean, it's been used in so many films. It may be like a direct reference to Cruel Intentions. We don't know, but like it matches the bittersweetness of Charli taking advantage of this moment.
This moment, yeah.
To basically put on the Brat version of the Eras Tour. She like rides in on a glittery cigarette.
It is so crazy.
How about the bitch sign that is BITC hashtag?
Yeah, she's like, "Is this the H?" And he's like, "No, this is a hashtag
it's
sign."
It's a hashtag. It doesn't say
like,
bitch.
I have to keep it family friendly.
It's so good.
I loved it also when they did like the giant glitter lighter, and he's like, "Okay, everybody." He's like, "Oh, there's a little door here for you to go inside, Charli. Then when the fire comes on, you're gonna come out." And she's like, "Okay, is this safe?" And he's like, "Totally safe. All right, everybody, safety distance 25 feet away."
She's like,
right
"Should
before
I be
it goes, she's like, "Wait a second, why are you guys moving away from it if it's safe to be in here?" It was
that
so
was
good.
Hilarious.
I loved it.
Like clearly Johannes doesn't give a shit about her as a person or even her bodily safety.
He's literally using her as a prop.
Exactly.
Yeah, the mannequin.
The same way that the label is using her fans as props. I think that's another like subtext, right? Like they're like, we actually don't care whether or not these fans go into default. We just want people to be like buying the Brat card.
100%. Yeah, this really is like what do you always say? A meditation on capitalism.
Capitalism and art.
And consumerism. Yeah, it's very interesting.
It's hard not to think of Taylor Swift and the vinyl variants when it comes to that, right?
Good Lord.
Like the way that Taylor takes advantage of her stands to like buy every single vinyl that she ever releases, right?
Yeah.
I do want to shout out one moment that is probably the best piece of acting, and it's on the poster for the film, which is after the Brat card fallout happens. So like Charli at this point thinks that she has the funds to put on the Johannes version of the Brat tour.
Yeah.
And that's when she learns that the bank has gone into bankruptcy, basically, that her post has caused an unsustainable line of credit that has bankrupted this bank.
Yeah.
And she essentially like escapes. She like leaves, gets into like her car, and she's wearing the Taylor Swift makeup with like the glittery like eyeliner and like the green, the Brat green makeup and the Brat green clip-in hair pieces. And to me, the most affecting piece of acting was when she's wiping the makeup off in the car. It was embodied, you know, like it felt like she really felt the emotion in that moment. And that's why they put it on the poster. I think she's truly underrated actor. It remains to be seen whether she can play somebody who's like not based on herself. But I was definitely impressed with the performance here.
I would be very curious to see. I am very curious to see how she will be in these other projects that she has coming down the pike, because she won't be playing a version of Charli xcx. She's playing totally new people and different characters. So I am curious to see if she has the range. But yeah, I thought she was great in that scene. I also have to say this. I thought that Kylie Jenner's cameo was great and that she was extremely funny. And it wasn't just like, oh, she was funny and like saying dialogue and delivering it in a way that was very her. Like she was really playing a character in that moment in the film.
Well, what's interesting about Kylie's role here is that she basically is the fulcrum. When Charli and Kylie meet each other, they're at this like retreat that Charli is like taking supposedly to like get some rest and to get away from the stress of the preparing for the tour, right? And Charli is obviously very stressed and frazzled, and when she sees Kylie, she has this crazy hair, her face is all red,
wig, and
Charli is like that's another thing that I'm very like impressed with. Charli is not afraid to look bad in this movie. Right?
Oh
like,
yeah.
So she's not dolled up the whole time. This is not a concert film, right? Like she looks kind of like shit, and she comes up to Kylie, who looks incredible. Like supernaturally gorgeous.
Firstly, she was wearing full glam, and they also had like almost like a halo effect of lighting around her while she was talking, like making the juxtaposition of her and Charli even more funny. And she also had like a fan on, so her hair was literally like blowing in the breeze. It was so funny, but it was like very subtly done.
Right, you know? Right. I mean, it looked believable. It was like Charli was like, this is who I could be if I just really ride.
Exactly.
Right after she has this encounter with Kylie, she goes back to her room and calls the label and says, Johannes' vision all the way. We're going with Johannes.
Yeah.
And so what's interesting is that Kylie I almost wonder, like, does she know that she was playing this role? Basically like the embodiment 100%. Of fame, right? Like,
yeah, she definitely did.
She is kind of like the inciting seduction of fame. Like, she represents, she's fame incarnate in this movie.
Right.
Which I think is fascinating. And she also featured, I don't know if you saw that music video for the A.G. Cook song that was featured in the soundtrack of the moment. But it's a great music video. Basically, like, there's a million doppelgangers of Charli that are dancing to this A.G. Cook song. And like the final shot is, you think it's Charli. She like turns around 180 degrees to look at the camera, and it's actually Kylie.
Oh, okay.
Which of course mirrors the themes of the film.
Yep.
Uses Kylie as a symbol of fame.
Yeah.
Which like is very interesting. And, you know, props to Kylie for like being willing to do a role like this where she is kind of like that embodied. There is a tension there, right? It's like, does it make you less complicit if you know that you're playing this role? Right? Because of course, Kylie and, you know, Charli had the Poppy commercial at the Super Bowl, right? Like, she's walking this tightrope of like, you guys all know that this is fake for the cameras, right? There's like an interesting balance there that Charli is trying to pull off. And I don't think any other pop star has really done it.
I don't think she's trying. I think she's done that.
I'm with you. I mean, you know that we're both Charli stans. I think that there's not really anybody else who's managed to walk that tightrope as well as Charli has.
I agree. It's also like, I think that there are a lot of people who wouldn't even be willing to take the risk to try, even if that is how they feel. And I'm sure it's how a lot of them feel, but most of them are like, oh, I'm not even going to try to touch that, not with a 10-foot pole. And Charli does it and still gets all kinds of brand promotions and, you know, all sorts of interests. And in a lot of people's mind, that would be like harmful, right? And it would like limit their options for getting these kind of lucrative contract deals. But for Charli, she's like talking about his bullshit while she's wearing her Beats and drinking her poppy soda.
Yeah, it was so fascinating because like in the film, the opening of the film has these flashes of logos, right? Like the Beats logo, it has the fictional logo of the bank that she ends up bankrupting.
Samsung.
She's lampshading all of these like what I'm assuming are actual product placements in the film.
Yes, definitely
right?
They are.
And it's like, it's just wild, you know? It's almost like she's taking advantage of the post-irony world that we live in, where like the corporations actually don't give a shit whether or not you're shitting on them in the film that you're making.
As long as they're getting on the screen, that's all that they care about.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And I think, as always, Charli is ahead of her time with this movie. I think in like 10 years, people are going to look back at this movie and be like, oh, wait, this is actually pretty good. And is also, it was doing then what I'm sure there are going to be more people doing this, being authentic and whatever, you know, or performative authenticity is like going to be big.
I mean, we're obviously fans coming at this from a distance from Charli, but it does feel like this movie is giving us a window into who she is. Yeah, it's a fascinating film. And I do want to shout out Aiden Zamiri because his direction in this film was also pretty great. It reminded me of Veep.
Yeah.
Like very handheld. It is a mockumentary, but only like lightly. It's not like The Office where we have talking heads. It's not, you know,
right.
And this is Spinal Tap. There are also talking heads, but it feels very kinetic. A lot of the camera work is like right in people's faces. You know, that iconic shot of Charli wiping off the makeup is a great example of like a really tight close up. And it feels very like alive and high energy, despite there not being like a ton of plot in this movie.
Right.
So I think he's one to watch. I think he could absolutely have a film career following this.
I thought it was really well done. I would like to see something else that he does. And I also like that Charli has given a couple of artists like their first big platform. It's like addressed in the film, but sort of briefly, is that the Brat Summer, the brat of it all, did not come out of nowhere. She was in the scene working for like almost 15 years before Brat became huge and she became like a household name. And so it's cool that like in her real life and making this film, she's like given people who also have been like in the trenches working, but like maybe not like mainstream, like the ability to rise above the fray and be standouts.
Yeah, what's interesting is that in the world of the film, like this alternate universe, Brat, she like, for example, Celeste is a great example, right? Like she is like the creative force behind a lot of the aesthetics of Brat in the film, but she kind of like lets her go by the wayside in favor of Johannes in the end, where in real life, you know, we have Terrence O'Connor. He's like the actual artistic director who I think has actually like risen in profile since the Brat stuff has happened.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's interesting because she could have easily made a film about like a hero's journey for Charli, where like Charli made all the right decisions and she platformed her creative director and she made all the right decisions, but in a very Charli fashion, you know, like a self-critical fashion, she actually showed her giving in to her worst impulses.
Yeah, I feel like this film was like almost her Wario version of herself.
Yeah.
Her shadow self, like what could have happened if she didn't decide to stay true to who she is and be authentic and stick with the people who stuck with her from, you know, early days.
It goes back to sympathy as a knife. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's interesting to look at this movie and the parallels between the film and Sympathy as a Knife, because
say film again.
Film. If you think about the film, just like without knowing the context of the Eras Tour film, you're like, this is a film about Charli's insecurities. And the fact that there are like these explicit parallels between the fictional Brat movie in the film The Moment and the real life Eras Tour film, it's kind of like if the shoe fits. It's like, listen, I'm just talking about my own insecurities and like what my own demon self would have done if it happens to be similar to like what a real life pop star actually did. Like, that is on you. That's like, I'm talking about what my worst impulses would have done.
Right.
And like I said at the very beginning, it really is more about the similarities between Charli and Taylor than it is about like shitting on Taylor exclusively.
Justin, did you know on the Amazon Presents version of the Brat Tour, you could be a 365 party girl from the comfort of your own home? That made me laugh out loud when they showed like
that was so
promo
funny
for the concert film at the end of the actual movie. I loved it. I was laughing. I said, ha ha ha. Well, this was a great film, and I do think that people should give it a watch. If you don't want to go out and see it in theater, I know it's limited release. Not everybody has it around them. Wait until it's on streaming, because you know it will be.
It's going to hit HBO Max. A24 has that HBO streaming deal, so it'll be on HBO.
That's exactly right. And you're going to love it. I think you'll enjoy it, and you'll have a little belly rumble.
It rules. It'll be one of the most underrated films this year, I think.
If left untreated, your little belly rumble could turn into super bowel. And with that, we're going to do some breaks, and then we're going to do some What's Goods. Justin, we're so back. And we talked about a lot of stuff today.
We really did.
We talked about Peenflategate.
Peenflategate, I believe, was what we coined. Yeah.
Okay, Peenflation. It's hitting the economy. Things are tough out here. We've talked about Bad Bunny, Benito, whom we love.
Shout out.
We talked about Ricky Martin and Lady Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed Karol G. We discussed Alex Earl, Pedro Pascal.
That's right.
Jessica Alba, the rest. And we also talked about The Moment. And now it's time for us to talk about something else that we've digested. Why did I say digested? Something we have been enjoying over the last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, Justin, it's time for our little segment called What's Good? And so I pose to you, Justin, this week, I'd like to know what's good with you.
Well, Geoff, I have what I think will be a quick one today. I have a quick song that I want to talk about.
Ooh, I have a song too.
And this is from an artist called Ford.
Ford?
Lowercase F-O-R-D period. The period's important because, you know, SEO.
Damn.
This is a producer that I've been following for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
I learned about him first from his 2017 single, Bedford Falls. Does that remind you of any Christmas film, perhaps?
I was just going to say It's a Wonderful Life, my favorite Christmas movie.
Indeed. The song featured, or at least the original version, featured a sample from It's a Wonderful Life, which is, I mean, it's so evocative. It's the scene where the main character he's on the phone and he says, I don't want any plastics. I don't want any ground floors.
Of course, it's George Bailey talking to his old high school friend who made it big in plastics.
And he's like, I don't want plastics, dude. I want to be in my community.
I don't want any of your plastics. I don't want any of your Ground floors.
And it's a really beautiful song. I think it's like really great. I've been following him since that single kind of went a little bit viral. And he put out his first single just last week in, I think, like 4 years. So he used to be on Odessa's label. If you're familiar with electronic music, I'm sure you know Odessa.
Yeah.
He was on their label for a long time, and he kind of did his own thing. He like released a soundtrack for an indie film. And this is his first like solo single since that previous Odessa label album. It's called New Groups Forming. And we've talked a lot about what kind of music we work to here on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been like, how do you listen to like dance music when you're working? That's crazy. Well, This I would describe as like lo-fi adjacent. I think that Ford for me is like the perfect work music. It is lo-fi in terms of the drum pattern is very like boom bap, old school hip hop in terms of the drums. But it's very melodic and it's just interesting enough to kind of like tickle your brain in the right way. Ford, I just think generally one of the most underrated producers out there in electronic music. I think you should check out the song, and I'll put a clip in. It's instrumental, so there's no lyrics, but it's very warm, very organic sounding. It's just a vibe, and it's cool to see him back making new music, and I'm looking forward to whatever this means. He is like a album-focused artist. Usually when he puts out a single, that means an album is coming. This would be his 4th album. And his past 3 albums have been some of my favorite each of the years that they came out. So I'm really looking forward to what comes next for Ford.
Very good.
And that's what's good with me this week, Geoff.
That does sound very good.
Well, Geoff, you know what that means. You know that it's time for you to talk about what's been good with you this week, Geoff, other than, of course, the moment, which we both loved very much.
Yes. Well, other than that, I'd like to talk about a video game and a song.
Oh.
And they are linked.
Okay.
So I'd like to first talk about the video game Final Fantasy X-2, which did come out Justin, now relax over there.
Okay.
Which did come out in 2003, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
It was a game for PS2, PlayStation 2, for those of you who are living under a fucking rack. This was like a very cool installment of the Final Fantasy series. It was the first one to portray like an all-female main cast.
That's right.
So I loved that. I was like, ooh, this is very Destiny Child vibes.
It's a trio. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun trio. So yeah, it's a continuation of the Final Fantasy X game that was published, I think, in 2001. And I did not have a PS2 because, as discussed before on the pod, I am a Nintendo stan and Nintendo household.
Mm-hmm.
That's from where I came. From where I came. Oh my God. But anyways, 2 of my friends, Ivan and Burgess, shout out, had PS2 and we had Final Fantasy X-2. And so I played a lot at their houses. It was a really fun role-playing game. And we're following like the main character of the trio, Yuna, and she's exploring this fictional world called Spira. It's a little bit more linear than the first installment of Final Fantasy X was. But what I like about it is that it's kind of like a feminist tale, and there's lots of political intrigue and play that goes on. So that was a really fun game that I like a lot. And now that I've been talking about it, I'm like, I think I should get a port of this.
Do it. It's available like on all major platforms now. It's on Switch. I played this game. I think I've talked about Final Fantasy on the pod before, because I think it was in the same episode I talked about Baldur's Gate, because I was playing through some of the early Final Fantasy games on Switch. What's really cool is that there is this like system in Final Fantasy X where, you can equip different spheres and they give you different abilities. In Final Fantasy X-2, which bears mentioning, the first direct sequel to any Final Fantasy game. Very interesting in that respect alone. But the spheres are called dress spheres. So the abilities that you can perform in battle against enemies are attached to your fits, which,
love.
This is a Final Fantasy for the girls,
This is a Final Fantasy for the girls, which is why I loved it.
Yeah, and it's a banger. I did love this game. It was very cool. So anyways, go on.
That's okay. In addition to the game, there is a great opening sequence of the game that features the song Real Emotion, or 1000 no Kutaoba, if you're from Japanese. Delete that. That's okay. You can leave it in. It's by the Japanese singer Koda Kumi, and it is such an earworm, and also what an iconic way to open a video game with, like, basically it's like the kind of Scooby-Doo-fication of like political games at the beginning, because like Yuma and like these other characters are basically having to escape the baddies, and they're putting on like a concert as a way to deter the baddies from getting them.
Listen, Square knew what they were doing here. They were like, listen, Destiny's Child is huge right now. Like, girl groups are massive.
They said Destiny's Child meets Scooby-Doo is the opening sequence of this show.
They were like, what if the Final Fantasy main characters were also a girl group trio? What if?
What if they were also hot and their cool fits gave them different abilities?
Yeah. I mean, come on, it's a winning formula.
All to like a super fun like dance pop soundtrack. Mm-hmm. I love it. So anyways, stream the song Real Emotion by Koda Kumi. Stream it now, and then download yourself a port or dust off that old PS2 sitting in the back of your closet at your parents' house.
Those discs are probably pretty valuable now, like the original 10.2 discs.
Listen, let's talk about physical media. We got to have it. It's of high value. People want it. You need to keep it always. Don't rely on these companies to give you what they want. Did I ever tell you about how I once bought a Blu-ray where it was like, oh, download your digital version? I said, yeah, I certainly will. And I went to do it, and they were like, oh, unfortunately, the license for this digital download ran out several years ago. Bye.
You know, I believe you did tell me this story. I want to say it was
garbage.
Yeah, it might have been our Spice Girls episode, because we were talking about how hard it is to find Spice World. Oh my God.
Speaking of Spice Girls, I'm still waiting for the announcement about their residency at the Sphere. When are we talking about that?
That's a prediction.
When is that happening?
That did not pan out for us here on the pod. Sorry, Geoff. That was your What's Good, like, how long ago now? Like 3 months ago?
Justin, it's been too long. I'm starved. I'm starved for the girls.
Listen, I'm rooting for you.
I'm starved for the girls this year. I need to have them. I need to go to their show. I'll pay money. I'll pay ungodly amounts of money to go to a Spice Girls reunion show.
Final Fantasy X-2, not that long after Spice Girls' reign. I feel like that's definitely an influence.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Maybe on another episode, because I'm tired. And this has been a long one already.
It has been. And Geoff, this was a great one. I think I love to be pleasantly surprised, and going into the theater watching
I love to be pleasant.
I was really pleasant. Well, I don't know about that, but I was pleasantly surprised by the moment.
I'm perfectly pleasant all the time.
No, I'm talking about myself. myself.
Of course. Well, I would agree.
You know I love to be abrasive. You know I love to be a hater.
You know I love to be a bitch.
It's actually BITC hashtag, so make that clear.
BITC hashtag. It does not spell bitch.
It's not a swear. It's actually, friendly for the whole family.
Very family friendly.
BANTS podcast, Johannes, call us. Yeah. We're happy to do a concert film.
And Squarespace offer still stands.
And with that, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye. This has been BANTS with Geoff and Justin. BANTS is created and produced by Geoff Taylor and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by Geoff Taylor and editing by Justin Benavidez. The theme music for BANTS is The Track Nebraska With You by Sam Day and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bantspod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. And if you like the podcast, rate and review us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube, and tell your friends. Bye!
Bye.
You know what I was thinking about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
How fun would it be to watch the downhill skiers or the long jumpers and put it on mute and then make up cries for them as they fly through the air?
Woo!
Yeah.
Hi! How about just
Wait, did that sound good when I did the pull away from the microphone?
Sounded great.
Did it sound like I was going
great.
By? That's me going by you on the slope.
What if they said, "What?
Whoo.